It's interesting. I started, as you mentioned, on SourceFed, which was all pre-recorded content, which is still fun and it's still entertaining and great to make, but it is very different than the live content. Live content to me feels much more like theater, which is where I started out. So you kind of have that give and take, and it's a much more communal thing. I know back in the day, people would kind of turn their nose up a little bit at creators who called their community their friends. It certainly is more difficult, I would say, to have that type of connection through a comment section, with like pre-recorded content and then a comment section. But when it's live, that I don't know, that relationship just it's so much more of an ebb and a flow, and there's something really lovely about it. And as a kid that grew up not having a lot of friends, it's cool to have a lot of friends now.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear you say that, because it seems like, I saw some of your live streams, and it seems like the way you approach it is just like, we're just hanging out. We're like chilling here, like in my bar, and maybe like having a couple cocktails and whatnot. It's just, it's very much like, it's not like, the traditional sense of, or the traditional way of broadcasting and television, right? Where there's somebody like on the screen and everyone watches this person and listens to that person, and there's no interaction between the person on the screen and the audience. But like the way that you do it is just very like chill, familiar, friendly vibes.
Yeah. It's quite lovely. Like I said, I really, really enjoy it. And in the past, I would say 3 to 5 years, if not even more, I have really pulled my focus off of YouTube and off of that more traditional pre-recorded type of content and put it more into other platforms, and specifically Twitch, which is more live stream focused. So you mentioned the Dragon Rider Happy Hour, which is live streamed. That's something live streamed on my YouTube that's brand new. But really my main platform for creating now is Twitch.
Trisha, do you find that there are differences between live streaming on YouTube relative to live streaming on Twitch?
100%. Yes, it's very different. YouTube was later to implement moderation. And YouTube kind of, at least when I first came up in YouTube, had this idea of like, you never want to ban anybody or moderate your chat, freedom of speech till the end of time. And especially as a female, it made it very hard to be on the internet when you would constantly see emotional or sexual harassment in the comments. And it takes a toll on you, and not be able to do anything about it. Now, that being said, at least at the time that I came over to Twitch, there were moderation was already a thing. It's more culturally accepted, and you can build out your community the same way you want to. A good friend of mine once said that, if you went to a coffee shop every day and the coffee was amazing, but everybody sitting inside the coffee shop was throwing food at each other and screaming at each other all the time, you probably wouldn't want to go back to that coffee shop, no matter how great the coffee is. And if there's one down the store that has mediocre coffee, but everybody who hangs out in that coffee shop is lovely and wonderful, which coffee shop are you going to go to? And so, that's really how I think about building out a community and having a community that kind of reflects the same values and, kind of not morale, but, just kind of the same. Like if I'm there to hang out and chill, I would love to have a community also be there to hang out and chill. Whereas on YouTube, it's a little more, I think because it was so pre-recorded video first, people assume that there's this wall where they can say whatever they want. And I don't know if they think about the content creator actually seeing it. People just tend to be a lot nastier on YouTube, for whatever reason that is. So if I'm going to choose like, hey, I'm done work for the day and all I want to do is play video games with some friends, and I can choose a place where some of the friends might be really mean to me, or I can choose a place where everybody's just happy to hang out, where do you think I'm going to go?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm out of high school. I'm past the mean girls thing. I'm past the high school drama, and I don't have the time or energy to deal with it anymore. So I'm going to go to a place that makes me happy. And I just think Twitch has done a much better job with that. And, you know, and again, that could be, I'm sure there are people who moderate wonderful communities and build out wonderful communities on their YouTube channels as well. But like I said, you know, kind of 3 to 5 years ago, I stepped more away from my YouTube. And maybe if I had stayed there and kind of focused my energy on adjusting that community there, then that would be a different story. But for me, at least in my experience, Twitch has been a much more welcoming place to be. And I've heard that from other creators as well.
It's interesting that the metaphor there that you have of like a coffee shop, right? It's like thinking about these online communities that you're building relative to like the physical realm, right? Like how would we actually interact with each other in person? Because sometimes I feel like with what we do online, like you're talking about with YouTube, there is this, we tend to forget, like, wait, we're dealing with actual people here. Like there's another person on the other end here that is a human being that has feelings. And it seems like from what you're telling me that Twitch is kind of like baking that into its culture of how they're building out their platform.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it's always seemed for me from the, you know, the moment that I went over and joined Twitch. It was, you know, okay, and here's how you can assign people moderator roles, and here's the privileges they have that go with that. And like I said, you know, I went, like one of the first big Twitch communities that I worked at that had a lovely community was Geek and Sundry. I went to work at Geek and Sundry where they were like, look, we have no problem with moderation. If anyone comes in here and is disrespectful to anyone on camera or anyone else in chat, I'm sorry, you'll be asked to leave. Much in the same way that if we invited you to a party at our house and you were disrespectful to the party hosts or anyone else at the party, we would ask you to leave because that's rude. And it was the first time kind of coming from a more traditional YouTube background that I had ever heard that. You know, more that traditional YouTube background was, well, everyone's entitled to an opinion, even if it's an unpopular one. Mm. And I had worked for a couple different YouTube outlets by that point before I kind of went over and worked with Geek and Sundry. And so any kind of death threats, rape threats, like you name it, was just kind of allowed to stay in the comments. And that's just something that you had to deal with as talent. So I learned very quickly, don't look at the comment section. And so I wasn't building a community. I just stayed out of the comments section. I would, you know, post my video and say, okay, good, it's gone live, and then not interact anymore because it was very, very soul squashing. And so, yeah, when I went to Twitch and I went and started working with companies like Geek and Sundry that really valued moderation, it was a very, very eye-opening experience.
Hey there, thank you so much for watching this excerpt of the Videocraft show presented by Video Husky. If you're a content creator that struggles to organize scripture ideas for your videos, I've got a resource for you. You can get a copy of our free script template. Using it can help you structure your videos and save you hours of time from filming in the process. To get it, all you have to do is just scroll down on this video, find the link in the description, and subscribe to our email list. From there, it'll get delivered straight to your inbox right after you sign up. And by the way, if you're enjoying these videos, can you do us just a quick favor and hit the like button before you go? And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel too, to stay up to date with all the content that we're creating here on this channel. And finally, be sure to tune into the Videocraft show presented by Video Husky on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. We've got links in the description down below. If you want to watch or listen to the full episode, just tap the video right next to me over here, and that'll take you to the entire episode in which this excerpt is from. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.